Hello, welcome back. I had talked about how that I had been getting into some fall classic baseball, and so I thought I would give a little bit of a video about my thoughts on it so far. I was going to just do a game, but because I'm doing some things different already, I thought it might be better to do some explanation first, and then try to get a game on the channel. So anyway, this is produced. This was made by Greg Sovan, I believe that was his name, and he produced at least three. I think maybe more than that. Baseball sims, which is incredible to me. Being able to come up with one that people would want to buy would be impressive enough for me. But he has at least three, maybe four or five that he created. And like I had said in the previous video, there is some similarities, but they are distinct games. So, of the three, Field Day, Fall Classic, and Play Ball, Fall Classic is the one that I have gravitated to the most, and I can talk a little bit about why that might be. Um, but anyway, we'll start out with some preliminary things. So, um, as far as the game engine goes, it's kind of 50-50, but not exactly. So probably one of the reasons this appeals to me is because of its similarity to Stratomatic in that the results are on the cards, and it is kind of 50-50, but not exactly. And the batter's card kind of drives the at bat, and so you'll notice, um, like there on Davy Williams, you see, for example, and this is just gives you an example of how it's not exactly 50-50. 56 is normally almost always a strikeout, but because Davy Williams doesn't strike out much, instead of going to the pitcher's card and getting a strikeout on 56, he makes an out, and so that means he won't get a strikeout. And so there's that's kind of how the batter's card drives the pitcher's card. So those who don't know, basically, you roll two six-sided die like you do in APBA, and get the result. If it's a blank, you go to the pitcher's card, and so as a result of that, it's not exactly 50-50. It's a little bit like in Stratomatic, where you have the power rating for the batter. It's an N or a W. And so that's pretty much the only interaction between the pitcher and the batter card in Stratomatic, is that if you get a home run on the pitcher's card and the batter happens to be a W power, then that means it's not a home run. So that's pretty much the only interaction you get with Stratomatic on the 50-50. So this takes it a little bit further. It's a little bit like season ticket baseball, which kind of does the same thing, where there's a bit of more interaction between the two cards, to where that you can, and I'm not a mathematician, but at least in my brain and thinking and logic, you're able to get a little bit more of those outliers, like Greg Maddux walking 10 and 200 innings, that kind of stuff. So I do like that, but again, like Stratomatic, the results are on the cards, and I like that. Replay is a wonderful game, but generally speaking, I prefer the results on the card without having to add things. And that's Field Day is, again, very minimal, but you have to check the pitcher's number against the number on the batter's card, so you get a little bit of that replay flavor. And so I like, this just tells you it's a single, an out, strikeout, a double, so you got some splits, which are based on a 20-sided die. So you roll the 20, at least I roll the 20-sided die along, like for example, on Davy Williams is 13, 1 to 12 is a walk. Anything above that would be an out. And so lefty-righty splits are a bit like replay in that they're generic, in that lefties will do better against righties and righties will do better against lefties. Historically, I much prefer like Stratomatic, where they actually will do what they did for the season. I've heard Kurt Berglund talk a little bit about his thoughts on that, and it's got me to reconsidering maybe a little bit. What little I've heard him talk about it, his thoughts is that is kind of an anomaly. Is that historically over seasons, lefties will do better against righties and righties will do better against lefties, batters, and that it's more like baseball if you have that built into the game system. So like Davey Williams, he bats right. The 26 is going to be a single if it's a left-handed pitcher. There are some of them where the 25 will be as well, and it might have a double or a home run. So if you've got where somebody has more power against the opposite side, they'll show that. But as far as I can tell, they don't do reverse lefty-righty split. So a lefty who hits lefties, you won't see that in this game. Now you will get their, because of their card, you will get their, season totals, and hopefully it'll come out pretty close, but not the reverse lefty-righty split. So at this point, I don't know really what I think about it. At first, I was definitely against that. The more I think about it, and the more I consider it, I'm not so sure that I might not see some of the logic in that. And so let me fix my camera here. It's wilting. Like I said, I just got my stuff back out and got to get things back up to snuff here. Okay, hopefully that'll stay. So, anyway, so this game, if you're looking for that, the lefties who hit lefties, you're not going to get that in this game. They're going to be basically generic, historical. Lefties is better against righties, and one of the main thinking in that is that that's kind of how real life baseball works. Almost always they're going to favor a lefty against a right-handed pitcher and vice versa. And when you have the anomalies and you're playing that's not like real baseball. So I kind of can see that, but again, in my thinking, I'd like to get a little bit more thinking on that and research, but that's basically how this game does it. So again, in real life, a lefty who kills righties, you will get that, because again, they'll have the 25 will be a split as well. But the reverse ones, you won't get that. And that's everybody. Has, as far as I can tell, that 26 is going to, if you're a lefty and there's a righty on the mound, you're going to get a hit. So, bear with me here. Technical difficulties. Oh, okay. All right. Another thing, really good thing in my mind about Fall Classic is the available seasons. They have just about everything from 1919 to now, even a few dead ball seasons. They don't have any Negro League offerings, which I would love. Those of you who have followed the channel historically know that I really love Negro League, so hopefully that might be something whoever has taken the ball and run with Fall Classic would maybe be able to do in the future. Of course, being the replay gamer, I would love a season. I know Stratomatic does some Negro League seasons where they take some liberties, and I think you almost have to do that in order to make it like a real league, just based on how the Negro Leagues had to operate. And so I would be okay with that, but, at this point they don't have that. They do have a few great greatest teams, but the majority of their offerings are seasons, but they've got a great collection of seasons. You also can get printed seasons, or you can do the PDFs for all those seasons. So, again, if you're looking for a good variety of seasons to play, Fall Classic definitely is going to take care of your needs. I have ordered one season card stock, and that's 1953. So I'll say that the card quality is excellent, right up there with Payoff Pitch, who historically are known to have one of the best cards available. They are pre-cut. I'm trying to remember if they were collated or not. Yeah, they were. They come in stacks, and so one team might go from stack 2 to stack the bottom of stack 3, but they're collated in teams. You don't get every player printed. You do get every player on the PDF, and when you buy a season, printed season, they give you the PDF as well. So that's great. Those of us who like to have as played replays, it's good that you have the ability to get every card. And then, of course, if you get just the PDF, you've got every card there as well. So they do print, I believe it's down to 15 innings and 15 at bats. So anybody that's got 15, and I have seen even a few below that if a particular team in the past didn't have enough players to qualify. I have seen like an 11 inning pitcher printed. So basically you get a lot of cards. The price point is very good, at least relatively speaking. Printing costs have gone up like everything else has, so that it's not cheap. But compared to ATBA, it's very reasonable. I mean, even Strat is getting pretty expensive. I mean, they've always been expensive, but they've gone up. So again, I'd say it's a little below the high mark. But for the cards you're getting, again, very reasonable. Again, already pre-cut, just super quality. The size of the cards, let me show you a replay card, which is the same size as an APA card. So here is a replay card. And again, this is the same size as an APA card. So there you can see they're a little bigger. So I've always felt like the replay and the APA size was great. I do like this size just a little bit better. Again, Season Ticket, which is a wonderful game, their cards are a little too big for me. So this seems to be about the best size that I have come across. So that may be one reason why I'm enjoying the game. For me, again, this is just my thoughts. The quality and the size and the way the cards makes a big difference to me. Again, History Maker Baseball is a great game, but the cards are small and not terribly impressive unless you get like one of their specialty sets. So to me, that does make a difference. And so the size and the quality of these are great. I do tend to like to round my corners, as you see I've done there with Mr. Replay. However, these I guess maybe because they're bigger, closer to a Strat size card, that I don't feel the need to round those. I like them square. And again, that's just my quirkiness. So again, PDF available. I think it's $20 for a PDF. And so printed seasons, lots of seasons. And that's very good. All right. Let's see. So again, so one thing just I'll mention offhand is that you get stats on the cards, which I like. The pitcher's cards, they give you the WHIP instead of the ERA. And so I know what the WHIP is, but it doesn't mean as much to me as the ERA does, and so I would prefer the ERA. That's just a small thing. But again, you get enough stats there to get a good idea of the player. And like most games, once you learn the card, you get a good idea of the player's abilities. Like, for example, You got A, B, and C. So you're supposed to roll before the game to see if they've got really good stuff, average stuff, or below average stuff. And I'll talk a little bit more about how I'm doing that in a minute. But you can see the 41 through 45 are the walks. And based on other cards, Robin Roberts only has a 1 to 4 walk on 41, whereas most pitchers will have a solid walk on 41. And even on 42. And so based on that, and knowing the cards and how the other cards work, he doesn't give up a ton of walks. And so, like any game, once you learn the system, you get to where that you can look at the cards and get a good idea. But the stats are on there as well. So again, I like the stats that are given. I would prefer ERA to WHIP. Let's see. I kind of got some notes here. One thing about the game is that it has a reputation for running hot on offense. My experience with it is that is true. I've been doing the 1953 season and playing every game, and I think I've played like 33 games of that so far, which again is a relatively small sample size. But with the reputation that it has, it seems to be running hot for me. And so there's if you do any research or get on Facebook, there's people who acknowledge this. And so based on that, if it wasn't for that, if it didn't have the reputation for running hot, I would probably give it more time. But with the reputation and people doing home brewed things to try to curb that a little bit, in my mind, I'm pretty sure that the game runs hot. So, again, if you disagree with that, that's fine. I'm just giving my thoughts. So, generally speaking, a game that I have to do something to fix to make accurate, I'm not interested in. However, this game has a lot of things going for it that are really good, and I enjoy the game. I enjoy the flow of the game, and it's got some innovations that are unique, at least to the games I've played. And so there was enough there that it warranted me wanting to try to continue, even though I felt like I needed to do some things to maybe fix the accuracy. I think, again, just generally speaking, it runs hot. So, like, for example, the 1953 major leagues, these were the numbers for the league. So, again, I know you're going to have anomalies in players. I'm okay with that. I want the league averages to be somewhere in the neighborhood. So you can see these are the numbers that I'm kind of interested in. Mainly is the league, and this is the major leagues, not just the NL or the AL. It's both of them. 264 batting average. On base percentage was 336. Slugging 397. ERA 461. And fielding percentage 976. So far, and again, these numbers are with me making some changes. Our league batting average is 281. The on-base percentage is 347. The slugging percentage is 413. The ERA is around 490. And the fielding percentage is right on. So again, I haven't did any changes to that. Well, maybe I have. No, that's error. So no, I haven't. I'll talk a little bit about what I have done to try to do that based on some other gamers, what they have done. So what I'm doing is like when you do the beginning of the game, you roll a 20-sided die to see what kind of stuff they have. So I started out by I'm leaving the A and the B alone, but C is supposed to be 15 to 20. I have for a few games I moved it to 18 to 20. Anything below that would be in the B range. What I've decided to do at this point, and this goes back a little bit to their fatigue, whereas, in this game, when they get to past their batters faced, strength, which is 36 for Roberts, If they give up a hit or a walk, they drop to D, which is basically just horrible. So what I'm doing is that at least at this point, is I'm either doing A or B. So 1 to 6 is an A, anything else is a B. And then when they get to their fatigue, they drop to a C for the first one, and then they drop to the D. If they have A stuff, then they've got 2 ranges they can drop down. And so I'm finding that having fewer C's is helping to get those league averages where I want. I'm not so much worried about runs per game. I feel like that if the on-base percentages and the ERA and the batting averages and slugging percentage are where they need to be, then the runs will kind of fall into place. And so that's one thing I'm doing is so I'm just going to C for tired and then D if they give up another one. And so at that point, it's working out pretty good. I find that I use Stratomatic as kind of my stat keeper, and so the pitcher fatigue will show up. Stratomatics will, and this is getting pretty close to what Strat does, which I'm familiar with and I like. So the other thing I'm doing is that if there's a single anywhere from 31 to 36, and I change it to a fielding chance. So a range check, if you will. And so one of the charts, if you do a 51, 52, that's an error check. If you get a roll of 53, it's going to be a range check. And so what I do is let's say I roll a 31 on Roberts, then I will roll again and find out who I'm checking against, and then their range, so it can change from a single to an out. And I do that I started with 31 only, and then I went to 34, and it just wasn't making a big enough difference because quite often the fielder would make the play. So I'm doing, again, any singles that pop up in 31 through 36 on the pitcher's card. I'm doing a range check. So what I'm seeing on the average the last few games is that that's knocking out anywhere from 1 to 4. I haven't had more than 4 singles per game. And again, that's getting at least the preliminary results a bit closer to what happens in real life. And like I said, the batting averages have dropped a little bit. I know it was like 286. And again, I know it's early, 33 games. It really isn't a lot. But with the reputation that it has, to me, that was enough to take action. And so if I find it overcompensates, then I might go back to just doing 31 and 34. But so far doing singles. Now, I don't change doubles because I think the doubles are kind of built in, and that seems to be, the slugging percentage seems to be okay. But I am doing the singles 31 through 36 on the pitcher's card, doing a range check. And then, and I'm not doing, like, for example, some of the range checks will be a double, like a 32. If the first baseman fails it, it's a double. On 11, if the left fielder fails, it's a double. So if I get a situation like that, I'm not making it a double because I feel like that would make the doubles tweak them too bad. So again, it's just the singles. I'm not changing walks. The relationship between the batting average and on base percentage seems about right. It's just they're both a little high. So I think knocking down the singles will get us a little bit closer to where I want to be. And again, for me, it's league averages. That's what I'm looking for. So those are the things. That's the couple things I'm doing. So if I do a game and you see me doing a range check on a 34 or a 35 or a 31 or a 36, then you'll have a good idea about why I'm doing that. And so, again, generally speaking, I don't, if a game I have to do that, I'm not interested in it. But this one's got enough going for it that I want to try to see if I can get it to where it's working for me. And again, this is just me. Some people said they haven't had any problems. But this is kind of based on what I've seen and heard. This is what I'm doing to to get the game a little bit more in the specs that I'm interested in. So, talking about things that are good about the game, one thing that this game does that I've never seen another game do is outfielder arms. So you've got a strength number, and you've got a strength letter actually, which should be S, which is really good. A is average, and W is weak, I guess. S is strong. And then you also have an assist number, 1 through 6. So what you're doing is that, and I've never seen this in another game, and it's really impressive to me. I can't speak to the accuracy of it yet, but what I've seen, but just the thought behind it and how it adds to the game is just really well done, in my opinion. So you can have a weak arm, but have a 6 assist, which is like a really high. And so sometimes in the results, it'll say the runner will take the extra base if it's a W arm or an A arm. So if you've got a left fielder with an S arm, which is strong, then you're not going to take the extra base because this pitcher this left fielder, has a reputation for having a strong arm, and so you won't go. And then there's other times where it calls for an assist, which means he's going, so like Russ Sullivan, who played some left field for the Tigers, he's a W6, so he's going to get some assist because people are running on his arm. 6 is as high as it can get. If you roll a 6 on a D6, then there is a chance for an error. But other than that, he's going to nail the runner trying to go. And so that's kind of built into the game. So not only do you have that economy between weak arms, but outfielders with high assist, you've got that playability where it's built into the game, where there's going to be more base running. So in Stratomatic, those are decisions you make. And so generally speaking, I'm not going to be as aggressive as they are in real life. And so I imagine, and I've never really checked it because I haven't thought about it, but you probably aren't going to get the outfield assist numbers that you would in real life because, again, you're basing it off math, whereas in real life, they're going to be more aggressive and you're going to get more outfield assist from throwing out runners this way. And so, again, it's built into the game. And when I don't have the ability to have a computer manager to play against, I like stuff like that built in. So it also has automated steals. And, again, it's the same thing. You got a guy who stole 2 and was caught 10 times. In Stratomatic, I'm not going to try that, so I'm probably not going to get that because it's not built into the game. Whereas in this game, you'll see like the plus there on 32. That means he's going to try to steal if he gets on and has the opportunity. And so as a result, those guys who stole 2 out of 10 or out of 12, they're going to get closer to that. And so when I'm doing both teams, and again don't have the option of a computer manager like I do with Stratomatic or Replay, I like that stuff built in. So again, the breakup of the outfield arm like that to me is just ingenious. It's just again, you get a lot more nuance there than you do with just one arm rating. It's like, like Roberto Clemente had a great arm, but he's a -5. I think his arm was -5 or -4. But the point is that, the guys who had a lot of assists but a weak arm, I think, how do you grade that? And so with this having 2, and again, it's implemented seamlessly. It's not a lot of math you have to do. It's just, quite often it's, if he's an S, he goes or he doesn't go. If it's a W, he takes the extra base, and then other times there's an assist opportunity, and it's based on that assist number. So, he's trying to run on the weak arm because, the guy doesn't have a great arm, but he's got a high assist rating. And so, he's going to get those assists, even though he might have a weak arm because everybody's running on him. So, again, the way that's done is very well done. It adds that nuance to the game that I haven't seen in any other game. So that's the kind of thing that makes me want to try to make this game work. And so again, that's just great. The base running is very simple. So there are some charts for this game. So you notice that it gives you a single, but out it doesn't give you what kind of out or anything. So that's built off of the 20-sided die. And again, once you play this a little bit, it's very intuitive. It's based on the scoring numbers. 7's left field, so 7 is a fly out to left, 17's fly out to left. 10 and 20 are line outs. 10 is a line out to the outfield, 20 is a line out to the infield, and 12 are pop-ups. It does do, like 13 is obviously the first baseman, but if you're a right-handed hitter, it's going to go to third. And the same thing with 5. 5 is obviously the third baseman. If you're a left-handed hitter, it'll go to first. And so once you kind of get that into your head, especially with bases empty, I can tell you, right off the bat, that's if he's a righty, ground ball to third. If it's a lefty, it's ground ball to first. And so it's very intuitive, easy to do. So I know a lot of people like the fast action cards. I bought a set of those, and I prefer the charts because of the system I have set up. It just works out really well for me. So what I've done is put so basically these charts, all it is runner advancement. Once you know what the 20-sided die does, you just need to know if there's advanced or not. So if the bases are empty, it's, again, 99 times out of 100, I know what the out's going to be, and I don't even need to look. And then you've got the, like APBA, which gives you the results. This is just giving you the advance, or whether it's a double play. And so I think the charts give you a little bit more detail than the fast action cards do. And again, I didn't use the fast action cards a ton. I just like the system with the thing. So like if I know there's runners on first or runner on first and second, I'll just have it open before the result, so I know where the runner advancement is. And so that was one issue with field day. For some reason, I just couldn't wrap my head around, and maybe because I was trying to learn both of these at the same time, I couldn't wrap my head around the runner advancement. It was just I wasn't clicking, whereas this clicked really fast and easy for me. And so that's another reason why Fall Classic is kind of stuck with me a little bit more than the other two. And so again, before the bat, I'll open it up to the situation, kind of like I did with APBA. And then with it being in my folder here, I just have it off to the side. And, again, most of the time I don't even need it. But it flows very well for me. Again, I'm not a chart guy. But with the results coming from the card and me just needing this to know about runner advancement, I find that's great. So it's also got detail, like you got fly ball pitchers and you've got ground ball pitchers. And again, it's not anything you have to remember. That's another thing I like about Fall Classic to Field Day. Field Day, you have to remember that a certain result turns to a ground out. Whereas on the pitcher's card, if he's a ground ball pitcher, it'll be on the card. I don't have to think about it. And it's very simple. If it's a left-handed hitter and he's a ground ball pitcher, it's a ground ball. It's a 4 result, which is ground ball to second. If he's a right-handed, it's ground ball to short. And so very simple. Base running on this is really simple too. It tells you where to go. If you do, it's not where you have to add or anything. If there's an assist chance, it's a one-sided die against the outfielder's number. If it's a run with risk, it's based on the outfielder's arm, and again, a D6. And so you're getting the results based on the talents of the runner and the batter, or the runner or the fielder, their arms, but you don't have to do very little calculating, and I like that. So he did a great job of getting the results easily to find, but based on the ability of the, and some results are generic. Like here, if you get a 14 and the bases are full, the runner on second is going to score on a hit to left field. But it'll usually tell you here, if there's any additional, like in one situation with 2 outs, the runner on first will go on to third if there's 2 outs. So that takes that into account. I mean, it's even got some detail if their out is on the 56 to 64, that it's going to be a ground ball to second base, because this particular batter is good at hitting behind the runner if there's a runner on second. So again, the detail that's built into there, but you don't have it's very simple. You don't have to do calculus to figure out. And again, especially when I'm playing both teams, I don't want to get lost in the weeds, but I don't want it to be so simplistic where it feels like everything is generic. And so this game is doing a great job of getting that complexity, or that detail, without the complexity. And so again, I just have this to the side. And then you got your, again, 51, 52, and 53. These are error checks. This is your range check. Gives you a thing here. If there's runners on, what happens? Very simple. You got some exotic charts. Error charts, which kind of gives you a little bit more of some interesting stuff. There is, and then the 54, if you roll a 54, then you have opportunity for some unusual plays. With men on, it's almost always going to be just a wild pitch or a pass ball check. And again, very simple, just off the 20-sided die. So I will say that so far that the wild play, or the interesting, unusual plays don't come up as much as I would like. There's I've had some great results, but they just don't happen much. I had one where the center fielder caught the ball but went over the fence. And so it was a bases loaded situation. And so the guy from first scored because the outfielder caught the ball but went over the fence. And the guy had the sense to tag up. So that was kind of unusual and interesting. So I would like to see them pop up more. That's probably one of my biggest issues with Strat, is that the rare plays are pretty weak, in my opinion. That's one thing about when I was going to baseball games, is that I always, one thing that kept me going is that knowing that something unusual could happen. That was, you love the flow of the game and everything, but that odd thing that might happen, was instrumental in keeping me going to baseball games back when I was going. So a good rare play system is important to me. So far, again, it's a little bit light. I'd like to see more, but it's in the tolerable range. So as far, again, as the charts, there are a few. And so with me setting up my folder, and then I got a couple of these plastic holders that I can set up. The main one, this one you use a lot. And then the 54 chart, I have it in one as well, but I got it off to the side because I don't use it too much. One thing that came with the fast action cards, which are nice, is these little miniature things that show you the hit and run. And so I do use that, even though I don't care for the fast action cards myself. I like the charts, but this is a real nice little small. You get a bigger one. You get a bigger one here that's got the bunting and the hit and run, but this obviously is a little smaller. There's a couple things I will say that in the instructions and on the charts that are a little confusing. Like for example, on a hit and run on a 7, this is worded differently than this, and so this is accurate, I'm pretty sure. And so having this clarified a little bit about this. So I thought on a 7, if there was a 61 was a K, it was always a strikeout. But this one worded a little different, whereas if you roll a 6-1, then it's a strike. So I thought, which is also the 61 on the pitcher's card. So a few places, like on the charts and, in the rules, that things could be a little clearer. There seems to be some things a couple times where I did it and it just was pretty vague, and it could have been a little clearer to me. But overall, the instructions were easy to follow. It's just when you get on the charts, there was some things that, again, could be spot out a little clear, at least in my mind. I understand everybody learns different and everybody understands different, and so it may be just fine for the majority of people. I know in some areas I can be an oddball, and so, but just in my experience, that's kind of some things that I would like to see done a little better. So another thing that you get with the PDF is really cool is these roster cards. Now, when you get a printed set, I didn't get this as well. You got it's just in the PDF, but it's super handy. So I have, when I'm playing, I have the teams, and I added these, of course, because I'm a nerd. But it gives you everybody who played that position, their range, arm, and error number. So it's very convenient. I don't have to put it on my score sheet, and I don't have to look it up in the cards. They are right there in front of me. I've got like a little stand. And I put it on here to my right. And so I've got a pretty nice little setup here to play this game. But it also gives you their ballpark card, which is here. But it's also here. So it does have ballpark effects. I don't think they're as intensive as some other games, but they do come into play. Particularly the foul area. I've noticed that has a big wide margin of change from park to park. Oakland, for example, you're going to get a lot of foul outs, whereas Ebbets Field, you get a lot of foul balls and you get a roll again because there's just not a lot of foul ground. In Ebbets, there wasn't. So, and it's laid out, kind of like you're looking at the field, left, center, right, third, short, second, first, catcher. Then you've got your pitchers here. And then you've got their ratings and then some usage stats, which you see I highlighted the games when I'm trying to find a reliever, trying to see who they use the most. I also have Baseball Reference open up when I do that. And then again, the ballpark. And then again, little mojo that I added. I have Adobe so I can update the PDF. And then you notice my little logos there that I put on a 2-inch. It's a wood block of some sort. Got a little magnet that if you saw my last video, I put those up on my magnet board because I'm a nerd. And so that's kind of how I have it set up to where and again, I like the charts better than the fast action cards because I think I get a little bit more variety. And again, I didn't play the fast action cards enough. I just felt like if it's not broke, don't fix it. And so even though I have a set of them, it flows quick enough for me that I can, especially once you learn the outs on the 20-sided die, it's pretty quick. You just have to, if there's base runners, you have to figure out how that's going to shake out. And those roster cards, again, very nice touch. And I use those a lot, and those are great. So that's pretty much all I have. So again, pretty new to Fall Classic. I do have a lot of other sims that I can compare it to, so I have that experience. I've probably played, like I said, I'm 33 games into the 53. I probably played 60 games total. And even though I wasn't keeping stats on those other games, well, I was keeping stats. I didn't compile them, however. The game does seem to run hot, and I think if by eliminating some singles, I think that's going to get me where I feel comfortable and in the ballpark. But again, I might have to revert back a little bit. We'll see how it goes. So when you see me playing a game, that's what I'm doing. And I felt like it was important to clarify because, and again, some people may see the game and not see this, but some will see this before the game, and they will know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And again, we'll see how it goes. But overall, I love the game. It plays quickly. Got the detail that I like without the complications. and the computing. And if I have to go more than 2 steps, I lose my way. Um, and some people enjoy that. So again, I like the fact that it gets to things pretty quickly, and very few rolls. Most of the time, one roll and you got your result, everything. And so anyway, great game, enjoying it immensely. Um, and I think I ordered probably 4 or 5 of the PDFs, even though I only have 53 in the printed. I have, as I've said earlier, I have a pretty good printing system, so probably will go that route because the cards I get from being able to print myself are not as good as this, but they're good, as good as Strat anyway. The card quality there, and so the price point is a little bit easier to swallow at $20 plus, again, the ink and the paper, whereas a card set, is it, again, reasonable based on other games in the market, but still not cheap. So anyway, feel free to add any comments as I'm playing. Again, I'm still a relative newbie to this game, so like any game, sometimes there's nuances or things that you miss or read wrong. So or any suggestions on how to get it, things that you might be doing to get it in a tolerable range in the offense, or if you find that you've played enough and you haven't found, maybe these 33 games is just an anomaly. Again, it's a small sample size, so maybe that the rumors, or not the rumors, the reputation that it has is unwarranted. I've just heard it enough that I'm pretty sure that it's probably an issue. And so again, I think I've got a relatively easy fix that won't skew everything else, and get a little bit closer to what I want. So anyway, I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you next time.